All right, guys, I just wanted to go over some of the most ridiculous stadium designs that I found on the interweb. And I do apologize. Some of the quality of these is really bad because a lot of these are older designs that we can laugh at now. None of these were actually implemented, but it is funny to look at some of these, ideas and different concepts of designs to look at. So first, it is the Delta Dome, the massive dome that they wanted to build in Portland, Oregon. Just completely outdated. The idea that you're going to build a 70,000 seat arena in hopes of drawing a football team to Portland, Oregon, a baseball team with 70,000 seats, it just makes no logical sense. And if imagine an alternate world. They build the Delta Dome in Portland, Oregon. They get a baseball team. I mean, the capacity is like 70K. This thing would get knocked down in 30 years. I believe this project was supposed to happen in 1968, but they could never raise the funds because, listen, there was no guarantee they were getting a team. They were actually trying to build it to attract a team, which is always a tough gamble there. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this before, the San Diego floating stadium concept. This concept proposed in 1964. The stadium was supposed to float in Mission Bay near Fiesta Island. The home plate section was stationary, while the first and third base sections were on water and movable. The plan ultimately failed due to a high price tag. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a cool idea, especially for 1964, but it looks like the most bland ballpark possible. And they're going to have the stands float in the water when they want to go from baseball to football. I mean, there's just so many issues with that. It's going to be so, like, the stands would be so cheaply made, I feel like floating in water. I don't know, but they said it didn't happen because of the amount of money I'm guessing it would take for the stands to be moved every single time to go from baseball to football. And again, the renderings of this, there's no outfield seatings. Maybe, you know what? Maybe there would be outfield seating, but this is 1964. That could be just how it was. It's just a wall with a few palm trees. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the Boston Megaplex. The concept was floated in 1995 for baseball and football stadiums in Boston. The baseball park appeared to be just across the port. And so this is one of the things that always seems to happen. There's like 4 or 5 examples of this. When you actually look at this design in Boston, they just flipped the San Francisco Giants home field, AT&T Park. They just flipped it. It's the exact same thing. Like, imagine if a team just completely copied another team's stadium but flipped it. So it's like the opposite. That's what they did. I mean, it's mind-blowing. I'm guessing this is just kind of like they would design something differently, but it is funny to see that they have renderings like that. It happens multiple times. This is the White Sox design, and you can see this was a planned renovation. They actually did renovate the White Sox stadium. They took out some of the rows of the upper deck, the new White Sox, but I mean, look at the right field grandstand. It's a complete copy of the Texas Rangers ballpark in Arlington, their right field situation, and probably the worst of all. I mean, this is supposed to be the Dodgers' so-called renovation. They just took the Texas Rangers stadium and put it in LA, and they added a little D on top of the scoreboard in center field. And it says "Think Blue." I guess they added that out in the trees, out and left. So what it's Dodger Stadium renovation. This is in 2012. During the bidding process, Oral Hershiser's group proposed this update to Dodger Stadium. The renovation basically took Rangers ballpark in Arlington as a template. The left field side was erased, replaced with something similar to the Kauffman Stadium party decks. You just can't copy other stadiums. I just don't understand. All right, let's take a look at this one. This is the 1985 Chicago convertible. The concept was designed in 1985 and was for the White Sox and also football. The concept was very unique in that it had 4 movable seating segments that converted from many different sports setups. The capacity was 50,000 for baseball, 57,000 for the World Series, and 80,000 for football. And I mean, it looks like a dollar store stadium. The way, look at the baseball setup. You see, so apparently the genius architects said, we will just flip the seating, and there's a scoreboard on the other side. How tacky does that look? I mean, and there's no stands. There's no outfield stands anywhere. And this was designed in 85? Oh my goodness. And then, of course, we've got new Fenway Park. I'm sure many people know about this. The idea that they would build a new Fenway, because obviously Fenway, very old, goes through renovations. They said, you know what? Let's just build the exact same type, but let's modernize it. And one of the things is, to me, that makes the new Fenway look so bad, the right field seating. There is no way, even though Boston does very well with attendance because Fenway's so good, that is a lot of seats to fill in that second deck. That is a wall of seating. And I think, in today's day and age, they would bring the capacity, I think, to like 45K with new Fenway, because we know Fenway famously is one of the smallest ballparks in the MLB, but now they're getting even smaller and smaller. I think Progressive Field and the Mariners and Tropicana are all smaller than Fenway now. But yeah, the issue I had with the new Fenway was just that right field seating. It's just too many seats, man. It's just a wall of seats. This was an interesting design from the Chelsea FC. Chelsea, very famous soccer club there. They were going to build it into a factory. And I mean, I guess that could possibly be cool. But just looking at the rendering, like, look at the surrounding land. It just looks so bad. It just looks like you're building a big stadium in a dump. But no, I know they would have renovated the land, but come on, the rendering looks funny. That would have been an interesting idea with all those, like, building it on a factory plant and keeping the big 4 smokestacks up. That was the idea. And this was something that was rendered and proposed back in 2012. So this was a newer version of it. They decided against it, but this probably shouldn't be on here, but the one photo was funny with just all of the land surrounding it. This was one of the Marlins Stadium proposals, and let me just say, you look at this, let's just call it what it is. It looks like a frickin' saw trap. I mean, what is going on with the roof? Also, it looks like crazy small. That would have been like the smallest stadium footprint, and it's a real shame because I like that photo. That's a really nice photo with the water reflecting. It is. I don't like that Marlins color though. It's like an aqua blue, but it's kind of like a pink almost. It's a bad color. But yeah, I mean, that stadium, it looks like a saw trap is about to close. That's kind of how the roof was. So the roof would go from like right to left and it would cover over top, I guess. I'm guessing the capacity for that had to have been like 30K. Every ballpark they propose in Florida has a very small capacity. Very, very small nowadays. Because nobody goes to the games in Florida, the MLB games. And then this one, you know what? This was actually the Superdome. Yes, let's add baseball to the Superdome because 60,000 people are going to watch baseball, and I'm sure it wouldn't just be walls of empty seats, because that's exactly what it would be anytime you want to add baseball. That was a proposal, seriously. Superdome baseball. The New Orleans Superdome was originally constructed with the well, I didn't even know that. So apparently the Superdome, they constructed it with the idea that they would possibly be hosting baseball in addition to football. and they could have possibly been an expansion team, but it didn't end up happening there. And then this is the San Jose 2002 proposal. They just completely took Progressive Field, flipped it the other way, took out one of the upper decks, and it's Progressive Field. What's the point? No, I mean, listen, I don't understand why you would just copy the exact same stadium. I'm guessing these are very early renderings, but still, you can't help but laugh at some of this stuff. But guys, that's going to do it for just a fun little video on some crazy stadium ideas. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.